Alright, let's just talk about books today. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Happy March, happy Ramadan, happy fasting if you're Muslim. I'm very excited for this video today because I've been wanting to do this kind of video where I recommend few books for the month of Ramadan. I haven't got a chance to do so in the past years, but today I have a small stack of books that I could share with you and make a recommendations for you. So if this is the kind of vibe that you like, please subscribe to my channel. It's really meaningful for me to grow this community on the internet. And grab your beverage if you're not fasting, but if you are, stick around and let's get to it. Anyway, before we start, if you're new here, my name is Wawa. I'm a bookish person. I'm a business analyst based in KL. I make bookish video, bookish content. I talk about journaling. I talk about productivity. I'm obsessed with planning. And sometimes I talk about my work tips and also a snippet of my life updates here and there. So, welcome. Welcome and thank you for being here today. I'm so excited to have you. Let me set the context around what is Ramadan and what is my Ramadan reads criteria. So if you're not familiar, Ramadan is a month where all the Muslims around the world are fasting from the sunrise to sunset, no eating, no drinking, only discipline, only praise to God. And a lot of us as a Muslim is more than just fasting. It's time for prayer, it's time for reflection, it's time for giving to those in need and strengthening our connections to God. So this kind of month are the month that you would want to make sure that whatever that you consume is going to bring you closer to God and brings you closer to a better version of yourself. And that is the kind of reading that I want to get into in the month of Ramadan. All right, the first book that I got for you as my first recommendation, the main recommendation is to read the Quran. But Quran can be very complex and very hard to understand in layman terms if you're reading it alone. So I finally found a Quran translation that I'm really happy and comfortable with. And this Quran translation is translated by a professor named Professor Abdul Halim, and expert in Islamic studies in University of London. So let's talk about him for a moment. He's known for making a translation of Quran to be very clear, to be accessible, and really bring out the beauty of the Arabic language. And I read this last year, Ramadan, and honestly, it's one of the best translation that I've seen and I come across in the many years of me living. I find it very elegant. I find the annotations clear up the confusion. And then what really stood out to me were the themes of human rights and gender equality. There are a few things that I really know that Quran has such content, but it was not bring out well in many of the translation that I grew up with. And there are things that don't always get emphasized in the mainstream interpretations, and I find that you can find it here in this translation. And fun fact, I even picked this up from the book, which is about health tips. I know that honey is being mentioned in honeybee, the one that you eat, is being mentioned in Quran, but I never thought that I would find out more. There is a benefits of lentils and also cucumber that I picked up from this translation, and I really love it because I wasn't expecting it, and I find it really cool, and it makes it easy for me to get closer to understand the content of the Quran. Now, something really interesting about the translator, Professor Halim, he started working on this book when he realized that there's a lot of people who left the Islamic studies, start interpreting the content of Quran wrongly. They start spreading a wrong information about Quran, and he felt guilty about it. He felt like someone who memorized Quran like him, he can't just let that happen. So he formed a group with his students, and they done a research for about 7 years to making sure that they can come up with the right translation, with a proper translation that will be more accessible to a lot of people around the world. And he did that. And for me, I never really fully satisfied with the way few of the translator that I known of, I'm familiar with. I always felt like something was missing, and I searched for a better version every single year over the years. I was looking for the right one, and without sounding depressing, pressing and depressing. And I finally found the right translation for me. And this translation, I feel like it did justice to its complexity. It did justice to the depth of Quran, and Professor Halim making it easier for anybody at any level to understand Quran by reading his translation. So if you're looking for a fresh perspective on the Quran this Ramadan, or just want to understand Islam a bit more, something that's deep yet easy to understand, this is the one that I recommend. So you also can see that, you can also see that I do a lot of tabs in almost every pages. I intend to come back to this every year, and from time to time, to remind myself the beauty of Islam, to remind myself the beauty of a good principle of life that you can get from Quran. And this is one book for you to read this Ramadan. All right. The next book in the list, there are two books that are written by this special author, my favorite author of all time, and this person is Elif Shafak. So Elif Shafak, she writes a book that will make you sit down with yourself and then start reflecting on your thoughts and your doings. That's the kind of book that she writes. Let me give you an introduction to that if you don't know her. And the reason why she's my favorite author of all time, because I was introduced to her to this first book of many books that she wrote, The 40 Rules of Love. And this is the kind of books that makes you start thinking about your life, start thinking about your love life, and everything in between. And I really love the way the book was written. So in this book, the story follows Ellen, who is a 40-year-old woman. She's stuck in a routine. She's stuck in an unhappy marriage, and then she takes a job that requires her to read manuscripts and review the manuscript. And her first assignment is about a book called Sweet Blasphemy. A guy who gave it to her was named Aziz Zahara. I think he was the writer of the book. And then things get very interesting because this book is within a book which is about Shams of Tabriz and Rumi the poet. And Sham has these 40 rules of love in this book. And then as Ella was reviewing the manuscript, she gets deeper into the story, and then she starts seeing herself in the story, and then she starts reflecting her own life in it. So she begins questioning everything, her marriage, her decision, even her idea of love. And then there's this author, Aziz. Let's just say his word changes Ella in a way that she never expected, as if she found her new self by reviewing this manuscript. This book essentially is about, I don't really love to read love story, but there's a special way of how Elif Shafak put in love story into this book. I find the love that was written in this was in the purest form. I find that it's not just romantic, but is a kind of love that would break barriers, that makes me want to grow, makes me love myself more. And then from there, I would understand how to love other person than me. And it's very deep. It's also very beautiful. Is the kind of book that when you're in the mood for something that is soulful and thought-provoking, this is the kind of book that you want to pick up. And let me warn you, this is also the kind of book that you really want to slow read them and not just fast reading them, because it requires you to reflect a lot in a lot of the scenes where Ella find out about what life is, what love is. The characters in the manuscript that she reviewed, Sham and Rumi, is one of the greatest poets in the history of Islam. So that's the reason why also I think is a good read for Ramadan. So pick this up. The next book by Elif Shafak is The Gaze. I read this last year. This book dives into how we see the world and how we see ourselves and how the world see us, especially when it comes to beauty, shame and identity, is very relatable to the situation that we are in right now, where people just judge you based on your outlooks, and then how you perceive yourself based on what society was expecting you to do. And this book is about a woman who struggled with her body image, and how she struggled with the society judgment about herself, and then her relationship with her partner, who collects stories about different gazes. And this person, he is peculiar in his own way, and then they are together as a partner. And essentially their story is about how people looked at each other, what the gaze really means in this story, and how it shapes our lives. Oh my god, Georgie! So this story, as I was saying, the story weaves together fairy tale elements, real emotions of two real people that struggles with body images, and then deep reflections on appearance and perceptions of society on them. And I find that this book is thought-provoking read, and I shared more of this in my book club review, I think a few months ago. Check that out if you want to know more about this. I talk more about my thoughts on this book, and this is the kind of book that I think suits the Ramadan theme in reflecting on yourself and how you perceive the world and how will perceive you. All right, let's talk about this book, My Friends by Hisham Matar. This is a new book. I think it came out last year. This was gifted to me by my friend. Again, if you're familiar with my videos, I've mentioned her a lot in my videos. Andrea, she's a book star on the Instagram. She's really a star with 5,000 subscribers, and she make a lot of book reviews every month. And these are one of the books that she have reviewed, and I don't know why she want to give it away, but she gifted it to me with all her notes inside and her book tab. I have not read it myself, but I've read a lot of review about it, especially coming from her. So I thought that this is the kind of book that I want to mention and want to read this Ramadan as well. So it's going to be a new book to read for me as well. But anyway, from what I understand, this book is about friendship, is about memory, and is about exile, what it means to leave your country and carry all the memories and all of stuff wherever you go. And then it's told from a perspective of a person called Khalid. He's a Libyan exile who's been living in London for about 32 years. So the story kicks off as he says goodbye to his friend Hossam, and while he was walking home, he starts reminiscing about Hossam and about other few friends, Mustafa, who they had moments together before. So these three friends, they shared a deep bond, but they also shared the pain from being far from home, from having their lives shaped by political struggles and beyond their control, and also being, I think it's also about being Muslims. And through his reflection, Khalid, the book explore what it means to feel belong, what it means to have a weight of exile, and how friendship can hold us together even when everything else is uncertain. So Matar, his writing, I find it very thoughtful and poetic. In many of the reviews that I've read, I heard a lot of good reviews about this book, and I think it's a kind of book that will lingers with me if I read them. And I like the stories about identity, nostalgia, and the power of friendship. So these are the kind of book that I think we should read in Ramadan. It's one for the taking. All right, the next book that I have not read but I think is a good book to read during Ramadan, which also I'm reading as my book club in March, is Exit West by Mohsin Hamid. So Mohsin Hamid is also a Muslim author, and what I heard about this book is that, oh yeah, first, it's gifted to me as well by the same person who gifted me My Friends. Thanks, Andrea. She really added up to my book collections. Anyway, this book is gonna be my March read this Ramadan, because I heard a lot of good reviews about the book. Is about, let me see what I have my notes here with me. Is a book about love, about migration and finding hope in the middle of chaos. There's also a magical realism elements in here where these two young couples they fall in love during a war, and then one day they found a mysterious doors that start appearing that allows them to step into a different world without any dangerous crossing or any risk. They just can step in through the portal and get to somewhere else. So I find that there's elements of magical there. There's fun, something that I really like time travels, but this is like a portal travel. It comes with the backstory about how people do what they can to start all over again and having hope into a better life. So I don't know whether I'm gonna love this book or not, but from the reviews I heard a lot of good reviews about it. I just find that the vibe that it gives is magical enough for me to read in Ramadan. So let's read this book. If you're reading this month, find me on Instagram, tag me, and let's read along together. So the next one in the list, I've read this in February. I've read Before We Forget Kindness by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. So these are the fifth book of the Before Coffee Gets Cold series, and the time travel cafe where people go back to the cafe and try to meet someone in their past and then say whatever that they needed to say and then travel back in time to move on with their life. So this has the vibe that brings you into reflecting on your doings, and I think the theme around kindness really resonates to the month of Ramadan, where we are right now, because we often don't realize the impact of what we do until it's too late. And Ramadan is the kind of month that you do a lot of reflections, and that is why I think this is a kind of book that you could read in the month of Ramadan. And essentially it's just about four different stories, four different families who visited the cafe and really wanted to go back into their past life and meet the person that they love, say the right thing to them before they can come back and move on with their life. It's the kind of book that if you want to look for something heartfelt, if you want to look for a little bittersweet magical realism and comforting in the month of fasting, is a solid pick. And if you want more details, go ahead and jump into my book review in the month of February book club. And the last book, which I don't have it here with me, which I forgot to pick it up with me, is my Daily Stoic. Alright, by Ryan Holiday. So I don't have the book cover anymore with me. This is Daily Stoic. I've talked about this book many years ago. I make a video about it on my thoughts and honest review and how this book has impacted my life. So this book is a 366 meditations and a quote of wisdom. This is my personal favorite as well. I've read this every single day since 2019. I first found this book in 2019 and I've read every single day until today, and it's consisting of quotes of wisdom for you to read. It's meant for you to read every day. You can just flip through and find quotes that resonates to you and reminds you the principle of life and how you can anchor your life into the world of stoicism. The book has 3 disciplines to master: the discipline of perfection, discipline of action, and then the other one is about will, how you deal with things and on the things that you cannot change. Although this book is designed for you to read a quote a day, every single day for 366 days, is the kind of book that I think you can also flip through in Ramadan and try to find the right theme that resonates to you and reflect and take it as an advice for you. Is the kind of book that will give you an impact and moves you. It's life-changing. Is quotes that written by and said and lived by the great philosophers in many years ago, and I think it still resonates to us now, and even more relatable to the world that we're living now. And I think in the month of Ramadan, given the theme of the month is about reflections and being a better version of yourself, Daily Stoic is one of the books that I think it should be added into your reading list. And you can continue reading them, not just in this special month, and continue reading them for the rest of the year. I personally feel attached with this book. You can see that I have a lot of book tabs in here, a lot of personal notes in this book as well. How this book has changed and guided me in many ways, in my work, especially in my life, and also how I perceive the world, and not letting how the world perceive me impact the way I live. Before I go, I like to hear from you what books that you would recommend for me to read in the month of Ramadan. And if you have read one of the books or all of the books that I've recommended to you, what do you think about them? Please don't share the spoilers. But anyway, I love hanging out with you today, and I would want to hear your recommendations in the comments below. And hey, thank you for hanging out with me in my living room today. If you're fasting, happy Ramadan to you, happy March, and please like, subscribe to my channel. It means a lot for me to grow my little community on the internet. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.